All right, guys, 5 up here. We're going live. Ducati Detroit for the V4 unveiling.
Thanks again for coming. Obviously, I think this is why the majority of you guys are been, very highly discussed in the media, as well as very much discussed throughout just the motorcycle community as well. And a long time coming for a lot of us enthusiasts to see a MotoGP inspired machine outside of the phenomenal machines that we already made.
What's going on, Steve Thorson?
Hey, do you guys want to be a part of this, or?
No, they're from KTM.
Oh, okay. So,
Thanks, Pat.
So again, thank you all for coming. Kevin and I are going to unveil this bike here, which is the brand new 2018 Panigale V4S model. We're expecting shipment of this bike 5 to 45 days for first deliveries. We are taking deposits tonight, by the way. We just actually sold our first bike of the evening to Jim Harp. We just put his deposit in on the brand new 959 Panigale Corsa, which is right around the corner, so congratulations, Jim. But at this point in time, Kevin and I are going to unveil this bike, and then Kevin's going to talk about some of the technology and the design.
So, this bike's been being talked about for quite a while, but for people who are very, very passionate about this brand, this is really big. Ducati has a long history in superbike racing, and the very first superbike dated back to 1987 with the 851. From the get-go, Ducati's been very successful in racing with twin-cylinder motorcycles. I mean, going back to even predating Superbike, the history of the brand in racing has primarily been with twin cylinders. We've won 14 World Superbike Championships with 2 cylinders. And our lifeblood of the brand is still based around 2 cylinders. But most people realize that in 2003, Ducati started racing MotoGP with a V4. And you start like, well, if Ducati's racing a V4 in MotoGP, why are they continuing to use a twin in Superbike? Well, I mean, point blank, the twin is working. We've been very successful with the twin. So it was nice to see Ducati have the balance and the separation between the technology with GP and having a V4, and with Superbike always having a twin. And clearly we're still very successful on a twin. We've come close to winning Superbike championships these last couple of years, and we'll be continuing to race this year on a twin. But to see Ducati bring the technology of MotoGP into the World Superbike platform for us is huge. And it's just a huge milestone for Ducati, as well as the motorcycle industry in general. There's no other manufacturer that makes MotoGP technology this accessible.
What's up, DZ?
So for us, we're very, very excited about the bike. 214 horsepower and 91 foot-pounds of torque. And with the Akrapovic exhaust, it's going to make 226 horsepower. So those familiar with specs and superbike numbers, it is huge. So I have not been able to stop looking at this bike or the spec sheets since October.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Huge.
You know, thanks to my father for making me a motorcycle freak as a kid, because I cannot stop thinking about this and I cannot wait to ride this bike. I don't think these are running examples, so good things, you know, these bikes are safe. I think for me, the next generation of electronics is equally as impressive as this motor. So on our superbikes, the electronic suite is traction control, Now we're incorporating slide control, which again, this is all technology that comes down from MotoGP and is designed ultimately to save your ass. Because, you know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, you couldn't put this kind of power in a chassis and give it to a layman and turn them loose. It just wouldn't be responsible. So these bikes are making people much better riders than they ought to be, but it's really, really impressive to see that you can get around a road course and give this a bunch of gas, where, you know, 6, 7 years ago it would have put you on your with the advent of moving to a 6-axis IMU, this bike is even more sensitive than the outgoing 1299 Panigale with regards to lean angle as well as the pitch and yaw. So this bike is going to great lengths to keep both wheels on the ground and to not let it get out of shape when you do something a little bit irrational. So again, the S model here we're looking at, just like all Panigale S's have been, you've got Öhlins forks, you've got an Öhlins shock, but now compared to previous
Slide
Panigale,
control's not
you'll see
ABS,
that now
DZ.
our shock mount and linkage is very Mosadici MotoGP bike. So I urge you, when we're done talking here, to really get up close on this bike and look at the difference between this and the previous Panigale, and to understand why Ducati made that change. Again, we hear us keep talking about the same thing, MotoGP technology. So you look at the Desmo Sedici and you see what they're now bringing to a road bike, and it's very, very impressive. All of the electronics have been updated. The electronics is now the Evolution. So as you'll see, it's called out as an Evo version, which is short for evolution of that first advent of what we use for there. I think at this point in time, we will unveil the V4 Speciale. Briefly talk about the difference
I have
between
Verizon.
the S model and the Speciale. And then Joe Stoll from Ducati North America, who is our service area manager, is going to talk a little bit more in detail about the engine. Drum roll.
There she is, guys.
I don't know about you guys.
Release.
So the Speciale. This motorcycle will be numbered. It's a limited edition. It will come with a few other components that the S model will not come with. As you can see called out here, it has carbon fiber front and rear mud guards. The motorcycle is also going to come with a full Akrapovic titanium racing exhaust. The bike will also come with billet aluminum, fully adjustable Rizoma rear sets, as well as brake lever guards from Rizoma, and CNC billet levers, clutch and brake lever. It's so much better in person than in the pictures. Just like you guys, this is my first time seeing the bike today, and it just, the pictures do not do this bike justice.
That's 3D
The
display.
bike also comes with a World Superbike style windscreen, as
Up,
well
Jared.
as a gorgeous Alcantara wrapped seat. Power will remain the same between the S and the Speciale, but with this exhaust is also where you're going to see a good deal of weight savings as well as performance gain. And again, this bike is for off-road use only, as you may well know. So, another change between the V4 and the outgoing Panigale is the new Brembo Sistema calipers. They are lighter and stronger than the previous M50s, and it's actually a gorgeous piece of kit if you have a chance to really get up close and take a look at that caliper. I urge you to do so, and take some pictures too, because if you get a flash on that, you'll be really impressed with the design work on that caliper. I know I'm being a little bit of a nerd here, but this is the kind of stuff that keeps me up at night. But yeah, those are the main differences between the S model and the Speciale. But again, I think
Beautiful,
you'll see this
guys.
motorcycle will go down in history as a collector's item, no doubt about it. You know, this bike will end up in people's collections. Make no mistake about it. Every time Ducati comes out with a new superbike, dating back to 1987, pretty much with the 851, they make a in years past what would be called the Tricolore edition, which really kind of sets it apart from the standard versions. And that's exactly what this motorcycle is. So we're very excited to see Ducati make the commitment to producing such a special bike. You don't see other manufacturers making motorcycles with this type of the factory. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Joe Stoll. Again, he's our service area manager for Ducati North America. And he's going to talk a little bit more about what makes this engine unique and special.
So for all you folks that want the down and dirty technical specs, maybe afterwards if you want to talk to me on a one-on-one basis, I can give you some of the real and detailed technical specifications. A couple things you want to keep in mind is everything about this bike is, like as Kevin and Charlie both stated, is completely derived from MotoGP. All the testing and all the development they've done since they've used the V4 has all trickled down into this motor. You are literally getting that all the years technology in a production street bike. As Kevin said, it's 226 horsepower. If you just take roughly the weight of the bike, it's about 430 pounds, 226 horsepower. That would be like your 3,600 pound Camaro having about 1,800 horsepower that comes with a 2-year warranty. So horsepower to weight ratio is unprecedented.
What is it?
It's about roughly two pounds per horsepower. So very impressive. One other thing that's very impressive about this bike is as emissions have gotten stricter over the years, this bike is Euro 4 compliant. It's that kind of horsepower, but it also passes the most stringent emissions to date in the market, which all automobiles, motorcycles have to pass. A few of the ways that they did that is by making the motor very compact and very small. So you get fewer parasitic losses. You have less rotational masses, less bearing surfaces, smaller bearing surfaces. All the components have been miniaturized to the smallest size to allow the engine to produce maximum horsepower. One of the other things they did is the compression ratio on this bike is 14:1 stock right out of the factory, as opposed to like the Panigale was 12.6:1. This exhaust system is a 4:2:1:2 exhaust system. Just looks like a muffler box. It's actually a 3-chamber muffler to allow maximum horsepower even out of a stock exhaust system. So there's a lot of technology into this bike that, like I say, comes right down from MotoGP. The other thing that they were able to do is, with the motor being so compact, they rotate it rearward in the chassis approximately 42 degrees, which allows the front of the bike to be shorter, and you can also have a longer swing arm. The swing arm is about 67 millimeters longer, so that basically just allows for a more optimized handling of the motorcycle. This engine has a counter-rotating crankshaft, which offsets the gyroscopic effect of the wheels, which helps in braking, acceleration, turning, every aspect of performance when it comes to road racing. Another thing they did with the engine in this bike is they have a high volt or silent style chain drive cam chain. It only drives one cam and then the by gear. So you have a combination of chain and gear drive camshafts. The valve train in this bike, same thing. It's all miniaturized. It's directly derived from MotoGP, which is how they're able to have such a high RPM rev limit. So very, very advanced. The electronics on this bike, as Kevin had stated, are work directly in conjunction with the motor. So you have the Evo version of the wheelie control, traction control, power launch, up and down, slide control. So all these technologies are essentially what comes directly on a MotoGP bike. And to put it in perspective, like your slide control, the way that works is it will actually allow, and I'm sure you've all seen the slow motion videos when the racers are exiting the corner and basically the rear wheel is not in line with the front wheel. The slide control in this bike will allow the rear wheel to get 6 degrees out of center line before it actually intervenes. You can adjust the intervention of the slide control as the operator of the bike. So you're getting very, very advanced trickle-down technology in this bike that up until now has only been available to basically MotoGP riders. So very impressive.
So if you buy one of these, chances are you might be able to ride like Dovizioso.
Exactly.
It'll help you. And one last thing, thanks Joe, but one last thing that we didn't talk about was the chassis with the actual frame. Where, in years past, Ducati had a trellis frame. We were known for our frames. And with the Panigale, we moved to a monocoque chassis.
He just
but
said
now
cock.
this is still a monocoque. Ducati has extended it all the way down into here, which is now, they're calling the front frame of the bike. And it is helping with a little bit of the flex, where the Panigale is a bit of a rigid feel. This is going to help incorporate a little bit more feel into the bike. So again, we could talk about the nerdy technical specs for hours, guys, but come find one of us if you want to talk in more detail about any of it. Charlie, you have anything to add?
No, thank you guys all for coming. These are non-running models, so we will not be starting these bikes tonight. I'm really sorry to disappoint you. But thank you all for coming and enjoy the rest of the night.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, hey, one last thing. You can sit on this bike, the S model. You cannot sit on the Speciale. Okay? So feel free to throw your leg over that bike.
Well, there you have it, guys. We have... trying to figure out how to spin this camera around. Anyways, we have the Speciale here. I'm actually #1 in line to receive this bike from Ducati Detroit. So I was the first one to put a deposit down on it. So this is a pre-production bike. Beautiful, fully adjustable Rizoma rear sets. Inboard mounted rear shock, like he was stating, like the Desmo. Has asymmetrical exhaust on it with the full Acra system.
Looks like a suede.
So, very, very cool bike. Alcantara seat. Beautiful seat. The color combination is awesome. Beautiful bike. Beautiful bike. So, I am even more excited than I was on the way down here. And hopefully very, very soon you will see this on the SmackDown streets. And I'll be terrorizing Tenardizzi, Mr. Donnie Brasco. Anybody who comes in my way, terrorize them with this bike. So, Circuit of the Americas. You'll see this bike prowling the streets out here, ready for SmackDowns. So I'm gonna cut it. You guys have one hell of a good night. And I'll be talking to you guys very, very soon.
Good to see you.